We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to prove.
Well, welcome everyone. It is another episode of The Entrepreneur's Journey, and I got to tell you, this one is super special. It's it's the first time that I have an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur, which is not to say that I am not an entrepreneur or a coach isn't an entrepreneur, but we're talking about the people that ultimately we serve. We're talking about the heart and the soul of what makes this country great and what makes, quite frankly, any country great. We're talking about builders of businesses, builders of brands. We're talking about Tom Sanseverino from Camsan, and we're going to bring him on shortly. I got a lot of little surprises for him along the way. I like to kind of keep things a little bit open-ended. But you know what I do is when I start every episode, I like to single out a thought. And today, my thought is as follows. It's a quote, which is, I'm going to read it as follows. Every company, every founder, every entrepreneur has a story, and it is the most incredible story in the world because it is their story. Now, go tell it. You see, what I've realized throughout my whole life is there are so many incredibly talented people, whether they're creators, whether they're builders, whether they're entrepreneurs, even brands. And so often we end up, using this phrase, which is the best kept secret. And it frustrates me, like all entrepreneurs, which is why keep it to ourselves? Let's go celebrate accomplishment. Let's go celebrate ingenuity. Let's celebrate creativity. So often in life, we are all dressed up with nowhere to go. So often when there are examples of just incredible creativity, bravery, courage, ingenuity, independence, vision, passion, or even at EOS, we say vision, traction, healthy. How do we tell that story? And this is what I want the entrepreneur's journey to be. This is, at the end of the day, like Joseph Campbell with the hero's journey. It is the ability to tell these stories and to celebrate the journey with all the bumps and bruises and highs and lows. It's all part of the experience. And as the saying goes, success, or maybe the entrepreneurial journey, is more about the journey than it is the destination. So I always start off with my why statement, which is, as a teacher, facilitator, and coach, I help high aspiring entrepreneurs, owners, and their leadership teams get unstuck, return to growth, and become forever change. I've been very fortunate to help implement the entrepreneurial operating system. And if you want to determine whether you are running your business or whether your business is running you, scan the QR code on the left. And if you'd like to get started with the first chapter of Traction, which is the book by founder Gino Wickman, scan the QR code on the right. But now it's time to welcome the man of the hour onto the show. And let me tell you, as I said to you, I've got a few little surprises, but let me give you a little bit of context about Camsan. It's a family-owned and operated business that has been going now for 90 plus years. Camsan Inc. is a community business with a reputation of quality, reliability, and accomplishment in the construction industry. Currently managed by Tom Sanseverino, President and CEO. Tom is the grandson of Canio M. Sanseverino, and I was trying to figure out and connect the dots as to where Camsan came from, and I think I might have figured that out. Canio M. Sanseverino is the company founder and succeeded his father, L. Sanseverino, working for his dad since he was 10 years of age. Tom had firsthand experience learning from the college Al Sanseverino. I wonder if that was the school of hard knocks. You'll have to tell us. And achieved his electrical license. As a graduate of the University of Dayton in electrical engineering, Tom returned to Stamford, Connecticut, and became Camsan's third generation leader. Under Tom's leadership, Camsan has successfully completed a variety of commercial, residential, and institutional projects. This extensive experience, capable and resourceful workforce, state-of-the-art equipment and materials, together with a motivated attitude. I was thinking now, it's not what are they, a can do? Maybe we should call it a cam do attitude, makes Camsan Inc. a valuable asset to any client with the intent of getting a project completed on time and with budget. Let's welcome into the show, Tom. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Journey.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to today's session.
So what did you think about that already? The idea, instead of can do, it should be cam do. What do you think about that? Should we trademark that?
I like that a lot. I think that's a great idea.
It almost sounds like a core value, but I am the king of dad jokes, so you don't have to laugh at any of them, and you're allowed to cringe as well. But I actually like cam do. Cam do makes a lot of sense.
And that's our attitude that we have here. If you have an issue, we could do it. We have a solution, and that's being an optimist. We often drive that thought. What can we do? But I don't know if that's conditional or you were born that way. Who knows? But it's definitely a positive attitude that makes our team successful.
Well, you tell me, were you born that way? Were you always an optimist, even as a kid?
Well, glass is always half full. Having a growth mindset really positioned us in the ability to let's try it. And what's great was take a risk on yourself, invest in people, not things, and think for us, the power of our culture comes from the power of our people, and that's number one. A leader is only as good as the people, and it's really I can't speak to that enough. It's phenomenal. So that's what we're taught. My grandfather, my father often said, "Hey, jump in the car. We need to go to so and so's house," whether it be help them lift something, an electrical issue, or simply have a conversation. That's how we were born and raised that way.
So it was cultural, but it was also like, and I saw when you were filling out one of the forms is that your personal values and your company values are inextricably linked, or at least you've been able to recognize that the company values are so much so connected to who you are as a human, as a person, and even have spread, or I would say apply to your family. That's quite amazing to see. Or maybe if I had to flip it on its head, is to say, what would happen if your company values were different to your personal values? Would that actually be, would you be able to cope with that situation?
Well, I believe they need to be one and the same, and that's what we drive, and that's one of the things that we discovered, or I discovered. Uh, I call myself an electrical contractor. However, we're really in the people business, and one of the things are the family core values, from communication to accountability to commitment, respect. All those core values stem from the upbringing. So as a result of that, in our business, we drive those identical core values, and we're become one and the same person. And that when you join our firm, you're the accountability of what we say we're going to do at the time we say we're going to do it is everything. Our word is our bond. And in today's day and age, it's so important because there's very few people that drive, or organizations that drive that same concern. Written documents, legal documents. How about simply doing what you say you were going to do? And when you can do that in your family and you can correlate that to the rest of the world and align your clients, your vendors, and your team in that same alignment of the core values, you have no choice but to win. So it's a really celebratory time after listening to an introduction for our family business, because it really stems from 1931 when it all started, when my grandfather had that same mindset. And there's always a solution, there's always a way. And having that growth mindset ties into becoming a great company and leading.
Do you like the background, by the way? I've just decided to take us back into the past, to humble beginnings. You know, a couple of things first of all, I wanted to touch on, Tom, which is I've heard so many times over now this concept of no choice. And it's very powerful. I actually get goosebumps, you know, when I hear it, when I hear entrepreneurs saying we had this isn't a choice. We have no choice but to move forward. We have no choice but to deliver value to our customers. This is who we are. It's how we're programmed. And I don't know that non-entrepreneurs can understand, because they might think, well, everything's a choice. Sure, everything's a choice. But when you actually are driven and you feel that this is your passion, your cause, or your purpose, you have no choice but to just do it, which is, you know, to borrow a line from Nike.
Yeah, you really don't. I think it stems from, again, the no choice of this is an opportunity that we have. I have the opportunity to touch 85 people in my own firm to make a difference in their lives, and I'm at the leadership. They rely on me to do my role as CEO, and I rely on them to do their job. And together, that's awesome and amazing. And that's the easy part. The most difficult part is really understanding life. So therefore, you understand them personally. You may have a conversation what's happening outside our work world, and then you don't realize, but that's the dominance that and the effects that you come in to share the fortunate upbringing that we have, the privilege that I was blessed to have, and sharing that and bringing out the best in people is number one. But that's what makes us dynamic. We just call ourselves electrical contractors.
I love that. I actually saw you wrote that, and you said, I discovered I was made to serve people, but I call it electrical contracting. You know, Jeff Bezos would say that if you happen to call to say Amazon was, you know, back in the day, an online bookseller that offered great customer service and fulfillment, he would have corrected you to say, no, we're a customer service and fulfillment company that happens to sell books online.
Yeah.
And I see the same mirrored behavior, you know, or the same beliefs in you, which is saying it's all about people. It's about serving people. And you recognize that it's the people inside the company that ultimately serve the people outside. Sometimes people forget about employees.
So true. That's what carries the company.
Now, I said there was some, kind of little fun elements. So I decided, who would, Tom Sanseverino be according to AI? Sometimes AI gets it wrong, but most of the time AI gets it right. So I said, I want a portrayal of Tom Sanseverino as the electrician. That's all I wrote, just the electrician. And this is what AI came up with, which is, I love it. I mean, you know what's so interesting about this as well? For some reason, using the tool that I was using, it actually says copyright on the bottom, the electrician. It's actually decided to copyright it. Bizarrely, I don't even know why. So you're a superhero, Tom. You're kind of a little bit like the Hulk. I'm not really sure, but this is Tom Sanseverino, the electrician.
That's great.
Coming to serve a customer near
great.
you. All right. So, we go from the sublime to the ridiculous, but now let's get back to the sublime. I would love to hear your entrepreneurial story. We've heard a little bit about the background, and your family, but tell us a little bit about the journey that has led you to this moment.
Well, interesting enough, every 5 years, 5 to 10 years, there's a transition. Really, it comes back to five. And when I go back, is as soon as I transitioned to take over the business from my father, it was his wisdom, my energy that just excelled. And my strategies, all my strategies, I learned from him every day. Hey, what do you think about this? And he was an open book, and I asked nothing but questions. And I often say to myself, I have a squirrel mentality. I need to know why. I need to know what's in this. Let me know what's behind this. Well, he was never really a necessarily a paper person, but he would talk a lot. So the face-to-face conversation was great. Whereas I was a paper. I needed to know. I needed to build it. I believe math is everything. Everything behind concepts is math. And together we built the system. Well, I computerized the business, believe it or not. And with that transition, became faster, quicker, all the digital world that we came into. But one of the things that was he was only as good as what he could touch, and he wouldn't do things as smart and would work hard, but was very successful in his day and age. And I needed to bring it to that next level, and I did. And that took us 10 years ago. And then about another 5 years, I hit another ceiling. And by the way, we were growing with employees, revenue, everything was aligning. And we went through the recessions, but our structure, our stability got us every step we climbed, our core values, our reputation, that continued with us. And we were able to get through some down times. Knowing what I just said, I hit a ceiling and I was looking for another structure. Belonging to Vistage, which is a CEO membership group, a coaching group that I belong to, I had an opportunity to learn about EOS, Entrepreneur Operating Systems, as you know, and Rick Fawcett was the implementer that was explaining to us EOS. And Rick Fawcett was awesome and amazing, which got me. He hit me at the right time, said all the right words, hitting a ceiling. Do you feel this? Well, I thought I grew my father, but I found that I was just like him. I was at a point where I was owner management and I needed to change for leader management and remove the owner management. So he helped me adopt the EOS model from the very first 90-day meeting, read all the books, my team read all the books, and we were able to produce a leadership team. And that has broken the ceiling. And we're already on a verge to hitting another ceiling in this growth, in this organization. And what's amazing is EOS, we're a 1931 company, but EOS has kept us young, kept us in motion. And that's my job. What's next for us? I think it's really tricky in the digital world. When you mention AI, what's next? What's new? What's faster? What's better? Always looking for something. That's the challenge. However, it is really simple. Serve people. And we did that in 1931. We did that in 1973. We did that in 1986, 90s to today. And, my father often said, hey, it's really simple. You're just more sophisticated than I ever was. And it's true. We change with the times to become work smarter, not harder. But the core values and the alignment of the power of people never change. And I owe my coaching, the implementation to Rick because he's been phenomenal for us. He gets our people. He always tells his story, which is phenomenal, wealth of knowledge. And he often points us back to the structure because those are where the answers are. We have the answers. It's within us, and he brings it out within us. So it's an amazing journey that I've been on, and it makes me. I don't consider this company ever work. It's always a passion, people, and meeting great people, making yourself better, making others better.
I'm going to give you you're choking me up here. I'm going to give you the first air horn. You said so many beautiful things, and by the way, shout out to Coach Rick. I had to replace myself in the thumbnail with the two men of the hour. But I want to talk about a couple of things that you said there, and then we'll come back to talk a little bit about EOS 2. First of all, Tom, you spoke about this idea of it's really simple. And I mean, you and I both know that simplify is one of the leadership abilities that helps you break through the ceiling. But it's clear that throughout all the highs and lows, the peaks and the valleys, ultimately the thing that has stayed the same is that core focus, is not just your passion, your cause, your purpose, your niche, serving people and never ever veering off. And I love the fact, did you say it was your father who said it's simple, you're just a little bit more sophisticated?
Yes.
But what a beautiful, beautiful insight.
Yeah, it's the truth. It really is simple. It's you go back and in another philosophy that I was taught, and it's proven. Stick to what you do best. Having a squirrel mindset sometime with always searching, it's right in front of you. And
Hmm.
often don't we complicate things? Going into, I never thought we'd be in multi states now. We're in multi states doing work, but sticking to what we do best. We've branched out into doing, at one point we only did residential. Now we do commercial, institutional, healthcare, and residential. We still have clients that my dad and grandfather served, and the families from in the community, because that's most important. We support the community that all our employees are from, that we're from, that my kids' community. It's always giving back, and it's amazing how every door that opens, another closes, and every door that closes, another opens. It's just phenomenal, and the opportunity that you get, the opportunity for a risk. We often get the calls. We have a high risk job. Risk meanings intellectual. We need mindset, and we know that CamSan can do it, and we know that they're going to finish it, and that's important. There's never a doubt that we can't finish strong.
I love that little build at the end there, right? There's never a doubt that we can't finish strong, which by definition implies sometimes you don't start off strong, but the the important thing is to finish strong.
It is in communication. Being proactive in the solution. Hey, heads up, this is coming. Because if you think about it, we're a subcontractor. We're one dynamic piece in the set. As a subcontract, you need that leadership. You need that communication, that work ethic, on time, on schedule, on budget. That's critical. Well, guess what? EOS also drives that as a company. If we don't drive that, how can I expect to create that behavior for our clients or our vendors? And that's most important.
Tom, as you were talking, I mean, people are probably watching thinking, oh, it sounds so simple. And I remember when I was all the way back in college, someone once said marketing is common sense, but how many of us have common sense? It sounds so simple, right? The idea of simplicity. But why do you think so many business owners and entrepreneurs get distracted, overcomplicate things, lose their way, don't finish strong? What is the difference? I mean, is it EOS, or is it just? I'm curious as to why so many people just make life so much more difficult for themselves.
Well, I can answer the question by talking about my own self. Uh,
I,
we,
you're the only self I need today.
we, it's not. I'm one that I believe you never talk about others, but I believe I complicate my own self. Life is simple, meaning you want to do more, you want to do bigger. What's better, and what's complicated. But most importantly, you end up, if you look at our company, you end up wearing. My father wore 10 hats. I took 5 of them off, and I'm still wearing 5 hats. Well, EOS teaches you there's one person, one role, your focus, and you do this leadership position to the fullest. And that is what I mean by simple and complicated. It's that simple. And having the capacity to hire people, for the right people on the bus to push forward. Since the U.S., we've expanded our leadership team. We've expanded from there. We have roles and responsibilities with middle management. And it's not teaching necessarily electrical contracting, it's the soft people skills. So when a client or a vendor or anybody in our world comes in, we're here to solve it. It's not, we say yes. I'm really good at saying yes. I'm a yes man. But you also could say no with a solution. No, we can't do this, but we could do this, and this is why. And that's communication. It's understanding. That's team. We are a partner in our industry with everybody. And it's that communication. That's the side that we go into it that makes it simple to say, hey, this is what it's want. Listen to the customer, listen to the vendor, listen to your employee. It's a lot of listening. And we're not necessarily taught that. Everyone wants to be aggressive, get after it, and you're the first one to talk. No, we're the first one to listen, see what the problem is, and then let's attack it as a group.
One of the things that it strikes me is that there are entrepreneurs out there and that feel that almost they don't deserve an easier life. They don't deserve the simplification. They don't deserve to delegate and take the monkey, right? The monkey off their back, or prevent monkeys from being kind of thrown onto them. You talk about a couple of things. The transition from owner run to manager or leadership run, that's not a small transition. You also talk about the fact that, you come from a culture that said, do it yourself, otherwise it doesn't get done, to having to let go and delegate. Did you ever feel undeserving as an entrepreneur? Did you ever feel like you needed to do more, to work harder, to bear the burden as opposed to share the burden?
Well, I was just sharing this story the other day. I believe that we need to be productive for the fulfillment, meaning needs to be something productive. Sitting on the couch is not necessarily the best pastime I have. Yes, there's a time to rest, but it's being involved. It's the fulfillment, whether it be a hobby, work, a special project, whatever it may be. Be involved with something, someone. And I think what's most important with that is saying, okay, in my role, my transition, how do I let go of the vine? Someone said in EOS GWC, you get it, you want it, you have the capacity to do it. When you find great people that surround you and they have that and you believe them, you got to let go. For me, that was a hard thing to do because I was involved. I was always the one to get it done. And then, by the way, discovered my way wasn't the right way all the time. And there was a different way of doing things, allow it to happen. That make us more successful now. So letting go of the vine in this transition was everything for this leadership, owner management to leader management change. And by the way, it is my name on the mailbox, but it's also the leader's name on the mailbox that I found. And then communicating what you don't like and what you did like and why the result came out this way or why it should come out there and give them an opportunity. So you become better because now you're working together as a team, as a greater force than just one person.
Well, of course, one of the things that you may not want to do is sit back on the couch, but we do know that you enjoy beach vacations.
Yeah.
So a little bit of AI coming to the rescue again. You deserve a little bit. I don't know, maybe this is what we call at EOS your clarity breaks.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you take clarity breaks?
And not as often as I should, but it is the structure that EOS brings us. For example, besides weekly L10 meetings that we have internally, when we meet with Outpace Services and Rick Fawcett, it's always that time to reset. It's amazing how that quarter comes so quick, and you're wondering why it comes because you need it. You need to reset, recalibrate, pivot, and launch. And that's a great opportunity. So that's not necessarily a clarity break, but the structure gives us. It also reminds us, hey, take a moment when you do reach your goal or reach that quarterly rock that you have. Celebrate it. it is time to celebrate. And I think what's the most important way, we start our meetings with segues. And I often bring in a segue that motivates or creates that glass half full with whatever may be going on in the industry. Because as we know, the rate of change right now in business is so quick since COVID, and there's so many cycles that come out. You really have to take a breath and say, "We got this," or let's revisit this. How are we going to do this again?
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Rick, and it gives me, a little bit of an unfair advantage because he's not here to, to defend himself. But talk a little bit about Rick as a coach. What kind of a coach is he?
Rick is a no nonsense yet lovable coach that brings out the white elephant in the room. And that's a whole bunch I just said. But what's really great is he creates a comfortable environment, sticks to structure, strict your timeline, and he has this unique ability to really pester you in a sense to poke the bear of what is underlying, what are the issues from the start of the meeting to the end. It's an 8-hour session that we go into, and he has a unique skill that he's able to bring out, and he notices the sense of a team. So it's not just myself; it's the entire team, and we talk about the issue. And it's really simple. It's not anything they do besides continue to facilitate and question what's the issue. And usually the issue that comes out first is never the issue behind the problem.
Right,
It's
the
after the 10
underlying
questions,
root
it
cause.
aligns and comes out. And he's not afraid to call out the white elephant in the room and say, "We think this is it. What are you going to do about it?" And he sits and waits. That awkward silence makes you accountable. And what's fantastic is the added value that he brings after the fact, the follow through. Oh, there's a seminar, Tom, we're hosting here, and I have this speaker. I think it'd be great for your staff on X, Y, and Z subject. That's all added value. It's brilliant. He constantly keeps on giving to you. The follow up, the check in calls is great. And then he not only that, he tells his story, which is great. So he's coming from a person of experience, simply listens, and then aligns the team. But it goes back to the structure of the scorecard. There's an exercise called delegate and elevate. And you think after 6 years being part of the U.S., we would know that. Well, guess what? He reminds us quarterly. Did you delegate and elevate? And sure enough, we go through the exercise, and that's or the people analyzer. It's a great tool, and it's that simple.
Well, he's gonna love. He's gonna love the final AI image, which is the white elephant in the room. So this is Rick riding in on the white elephant.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he's probably gonna call me in a moment and say,
That's
what the
great.
hell was that? There are lots of animals involved, right? There's monkeys on backs and squirrels and poking bears and white elephants. I guess it helps us understand what they call it, whether it's who's who in the zoo or the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah.
It's all good. So you've spoken about maybe the things he does really well. What are some of the things that maybe you don't like as much, or some of the things he could work on?
Oh wow, that's a tough question. Yeah, I'm lost for words because we come with an agenda and a productive way um, that is so effective. So I have a tough time, and he delivers every time. It's the rating of the meeting was it a 1 to 10, and it's never not been a 10. And so I'll
That's
get back
amazing.
to you on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was poking the bear intentionally because we were chatting earlier about one thing that he might want to work on, and
Oh,
which is,
yeah,
hint
that's right. Yes, you're
chicken
right.
scratch.
Yeah. Well, his chicken scratch when he's on the whiteboard, we may have to draw the visual or write the word differently. I never forget from the very first time he presented in my Vistage meeting, as I said to, diagramming on a whiteboard, and we're like, wow. But every book, your leadership book you read, you hear that 9 out of 10 people, leaders or successful people, don't have the best handwriting. And so, I gave him a pass on that, and he still doesn't have the best handwriting. But that'd be one issue.
Well, you know what? I suppose he had a choice to become a doctor, and instead he became a coach. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about change and the rate of change and the nature of change. People might be looking and go, wait, it's I see what Camsan does and the business they're in, but how does AI factor in that? And what does technology look like? How does that impact the business? Talk a little bit about how you've embraced change, technology, new platforms like AI, and how you're kind of leaning into the world that is constantly adapting and changing.
So for us on our operations side, AI can only help us with the prefabrication of our materials and our assemblies. I can't wait. We can't discover that fast enough. So we're spending our time now investing in that, and I think um, it's the new way. It saves labor, as you know, in all the trades today. Labor is still in high demand, and we can utilize, streamline the processes and utilize people for people skills, the value of a person. Accounting and our finance, I am constantly pushing AI. What's out there? What can we do? What software we can use? What's our marketing piece? And ironically or coincidentally, Rick had an outside seminar on AI and as it applies to your company, which was very helpful. So I think those two opportunities for us, you're never going to change, the electrician out servicing the device or issue on your site. That's not going to change. So that value is still going to increase. But how can we streamline processes? I think it's everything. We look forward to it. We embrace it. We're ready for it. It's time, because it's going to make our company smart, and more valuable.
So again, it's that can-do approach, right? The ability to look at a new piece of technology and innovation and try and figure out what is the role and how does it fit in and how does it make the business better. And it seems like in listening to you that the technology has freed up the people to do what they do best. And that comes from, I think, a security that you have in terms of saying, look, we still need people to get in the vans and drive on site and do the business, but everything else that maybe drags them down or slows them down or creates more confusion, that we can simplify, minimize, and even eliminate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of solutions today in the electrical world that are wireless. So how are we using that now to diagnose a problem? Will you need an electrician at your house, or could we go through your electrical system and diagnose a problem? The technology coming out with between the manufacturers and the products and the way we can communicate is the rate of speed is here. I don't know if the world is ready for that, but we definitely are excited for it. Our staff is challenged. We love it. We're looking forward to it. Hey, what's next? My whole staff loves the seminars and the speakers that we bring in to talk about product development and our processes, how they can focus on learning rather than processing.
Did you always lean in when it came to innovation and technology? Because I would imagine that there are probably a lot of competitors in your space that might have been caught flat-footed or, too slow to move in terms of thinking of networking and remote access. And, I even think, I just in terms of programming now, was this always something culturally built into your family in terms of how you went to business, or is it more recent?
Well, one of the things that I can speak this first, I don't believe in competitors. Like Simon Sinek says, we have rivals. I totally believe in that. We want to be better than we were yesterday, and I drive that forward. But one of the things that I was taught, I don't necessarily think that I'm the smartest person in technology, but I surround myself with great people, and a lot of people on my staff are smart on the technical side. However, what I do drive and what I've learned from past generations is the rate of change. What keep it going? What's in motion? What's next? And that's an entrepreneurial mindset or trait or growth. Hey, what do we have? And that ability to do that, because people don't like change. And there's many people on staff that as soon as I introduce a new idea, they're like, no, and no. And well, why? Because it's change. And so what I find is, how do we introduce it, and the process of how we really implement it is everything. And it takes time. No one likes surprises. It's really thoughtful. And that's one of the things that this EOS model has given us. It gives us an opportunity to think, produce as a unit rather than just one person do what I say and take it from there. It really gets buy-in. We're able to um, get the perspectives of every department and look in at that one thing to push it forward. And once I'm able to connect and uh, communicate the value of what we're talking about, just such as AI, everyone's on board and then pushes even faster.
So when we talk about the fact that human beings are naturally resistant to change and push back, and this is the way things have always been done, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
It seems like that there's also a generational component, and I know one of the things you wanted to talk about is this idea of understanding the next generation and how to create a workplace and a workforce. I mean, again, it feeds into this idea of what is the new work, what is the new way to work, in the office, out the office, hybrid. How have you been able to now, as you think about Tom legacy and the next generation that comes after you, how have you sold that in, or or in fact, has it worked the other way? Has the next generation inspired you and pulled you into the future?
Well, one of the great things that I often think about is, what is the next generation? And I found myself, and that's one of the leading, besides the structure of hitting the ceiling before, that's one of the greatest opportunities that Rick and EOS has given us, is it prepares us for the next generation. Whether my children want to succeed or a family member wants to succeed me, well, it doesn't necessarily happen. The business with this structure can continue as it is because we're strong, we're stable. But what I struggle with often, and I found myself communicating more, is this next generation that's in the workforce, the communication isn't there, and the rate of speed to determine where I wanted to be or what it may be to get your license, they think differently than I did. Doesn't matter if you could do something today, Wednesday, but yet you feel it's waiting until Friday. I have to understand the why. And when I open up and ask the questions, because I feel I need to instigate those questions to understand, they're not necessarily open to offer that, where previous generations were really more communicative and at times just did what you said, if you will. So it's a really embracing who the workforce or that next generation is and who they are. And we all went through the Great Resignation a couple of years ago, but we found, why aren't people talking? And well, I said, geez, if someone's not talking to me, I'm just not going to move them away. I want to let me understand them, and you do that by questioning them and getting feedback and understanding and making sure they understand your why. That's super important. And that's where it's simple. Did that ever change? No, but I overcomplicated. Why don't I just ask? We have some FaceTime. Make it simple. What's important? So we go back to the fundamentals of communication for this next generation. What does it mean to them? With AI and with the force of technology, makes things quicker. So there's a lot of speed that's going to connect and make it faster. But people skills, we only could go one speed. So it's really important to communicate.
I think you've earned a second air horn. I mean, I'm telling you, you're a philosopher, Tom. Like, if you ever decide to get out of the electrical business, you know, you could be teaching. You should be. In fact, I'm sure you are. I think you're already mentoring, and you're doing so much work with the community too. But again, it comes back to that first point, right? Keep it simple. That communication, instead of just resigning ourselves and saying the next generation, they don't communicate, they don't talk, you meet them where they are. Just ask is the second point, and ultimately tapping into a human need, which is we all want to believe, we all want to belong, we all want to connect, we all want to feel like we're part of something. And not to go back to, in fact, I will go back to EOS. You've said that EOS creates the pulse, right? The structure, the cadence, the 90-day world that at least facilitates and encourages communication and collaboration.
Yes.
I just had to do a little synthesis
Yeah.
there, and I'm like, and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, as we kind of wind down, we talk about the future. The one thing is I'm sure you think about legacy, and you've thought about what comes next. What does come next for you? Is it passing on the business to the next generation? How do you ultimately want to, leave the world, as they say, leave the world in a better place than when you found it? I want to hear about what Tom Sense, the electrician, has to say about legacy.
Oh wow. I think about it all the time, and it's that's what keeps me driving and motivating. But I come back and really comes back to sit in this seat. I am meant to be where I am, and I am not meant to move out of this chair, so to speak, because I'm doing my job. And I think when the door opens up to get that next step or that next level, I'll see it. It took me a long time to realize that it's right in front of me, and I don't need to look anywhere else because my path is in front of me. Let me keep doing serving others or giving back as I always have. What's different? What needs to change? There's so many great things around me. Can I travel and do the same thing? Sure, but there's a plenty of opportunity here, and that's fulfillment. Is making people better. I think that's the legacy and successful. There's a lot of people in my world, particularly my employees, that I've seen buy homes, second homes, cars, vehicles, really have some I alluded to some materialistic things, or people that are just in a great mindset that they were before. Whatever it may be, I've seen so much goodness. Is really the legacy. As far as for my family, sure, I want to see them better, but it's opportunity to say what difference can they do? What's their purpose? And that has to come from within. If they want to call themselves an electrical contractor, they know that they have the opportunity. But it's really up to them to discover, not have to discover with what their passions, and that's going to come in time. Until then, I'm here. I think we're the best in the industry, and I believe it because we're people of our word, and we're able to get it done. It's that simple. You have the opportunity to, you know, uh, really create some goodness as you go forward in life. And when the next door opens, I look forward to that.
It's very unique to find that, I think, balance between this idea of you think about legacy all the time, and yet you're unbelievably grounded and present. You're ever present. As you say, I am where I'm meant to be. And I wonder, going back to EOS, how the pulse and the cadence, the 90-day world, the weekly level 10s, the 10-year target, the 3-year picture, the 1-year plan, all of these different milestones guide, they're almost like guidelines and guardrails, how that's helped to anchor and ground you in the past, which is where you've come from, the present, where you sit, and the future, where you're heading.
It's interesting. I totally agree with you. but life has a funny way of keeping you grounded. No pun intended in the electrical field,
Yeah.
but
Grumch.
it's amazing how that happens. So you need to embrace it and discover your purpose, and then once you do, it keeps on coming back, and the cycle keeps on going. And you keep growing. You're able to continue your life journey.
So I now have the rim shot sound, which is keeping you grounded. It is the can-do approach. As we wind down, let's talk a little bit about. We've spoken about the next generation. As you think about legacy and you think about the people that come in after you, what's the biggest piece of advice or wisdom that you'd offer up? And would you recommend your kids become entrepreneurs?
110% yes. Uh, for the first and foremost of yes, at times it gets lonely up top, but the power of the decisions that you're able to make and differences in your own life and others' lives is tremendous. It also gives you a balance. You just said, talked about balance. Well, this organization has enabled me to have balance, both personal, family life, and professional life. And that synergy between the two, to me, it's a daily battle of balance. I wake up and how to become balanced one day with everything that you're juggling, coming in from kids to your own life to business life, your employees' life, your vendors' lives, all these. Where's balance? How do you compartmentalize it and leave or live? And I think it's really important to assess that. And you drive to the point of having being an entrepreneur gives you the ability to do what you want when you want. However, after you get your job done, and I think it's really important. I encourage it for everyone. However, in really good companies such as ours, there's opportunity for those growth mindsets as an entrepreneur to be present in any organization. I think that goes to leadership, and so I change that a bit and I say, if entrepreneurs are for everyone, how do you become the best person that you can be and a leader that you are, and utilize the skills that you are blessed with or that you've grown to learn? Because you owe it to yourself, everyone, to be great.
Amen to that. And so, what would you say to a company? I mean, sometimes I think, Tom, I wonder why every business on the planet isn't running on EOS, because when I hear stories, I mean, the one thing you said to me earlier was like, where was EOS 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And we spoke about how leaders complicate and how they over, and instead of simplifying, etc. What what made you decide to um, go with a coach versus do it yourself? Was that the loneliness factor in terms of wanting to be connected to another human?
It was understanding the weaknesses that I had. At one point, as I said to you in the 90s, when I outgrew my father, I was searching for something to become better. And I could never fill his shoes, but I knew his strategies, and I need something more. And I joined Vistage, and I would join some other entrepreneur organizations to deal with people, and our best practicing in our industries was making us great. Well, at this point, it was at a level again, we're hitting a ceiling, and I found myself, I couldn't bring the organization up to the level I wanted, and I was getting frustrated. At that point, I realized, I need help. I needed something to make us greater. Where does happen? And that's when Rick and I met, and I realized my weakness. And with everybody, when weakness, I was taught surround yourself by great people because I'm their strength and they're my strength, and together you become a better team. So it has been that, and that's when I discovered, hey, this is for us, and it keeps not only me but my whole team really accountable to become better every quarter or every year, and I'm looking forward to it.
The one thing that I forgot to ask you is whether you are on the accountability chart. If you're the visionary, if you're the integrator, if you're both, if you're neither, um, which one are you?
Yeah, so it's debatable, really not, but I'm the visionary, and currently I am the integrator. And I really totally believe that you can't do both. And I can't wait to just become the visionary one time. But we have a process, we have a plan, and hopefully that happens this year.
Well, listen, I created, just in case, I know I told you I was done with the AI, but I lied. So this is you as the visionary, and this is you as the integrator. Interestingly, AI decided to portray you looking in one direction as the visionary and another as the integrator. So there you go, visionary, integrator, electrician,
That's
superhero, grounded, excuse the pun. But we're going to make sure that we touch on one more thing before we end, which is how you give back. And I was just kind of on the website and looking about the things that you've been doing. Woman Leading the Way, New Canaan Ice Rink, Banz's Court Project. It's not just a job, is it? It's a calling. It's a commitment. It's a community.
absolutely.
So talk a little bit about, just in the minute or two that we have left, what do you do with respect to to community and giving back? How important is that as part of your culture?
So it's very important. It's really from the origin of the company. Uh, as an immigrant, when my grandfather came in, we often heard his stories of you need an electrical contractor. You went to the Italian organization or the Gravonese Society because you went and used someone that was from your region back then, a plumber, electrician, you name it. And that really still to this day is relationships and relationships, but it's not necessarily the background of the culture or where you came from. It's the accountable people, right? It's people with ethics, people get the job done, guarantees, like we spoke about earlier. But what's most important is in the communities as you go through in our surrounding area, it's really important to embrace an opportunity to give back to the community, whether it's sponsoring a baseball team, whether it's coaching, giving back time. You have an opportunity on and off the field, so to speak, to give back to mentor. That's forever because that's how people become better. And I didn't realize with this opportunity from the trade schools to all the organizations that we do give to, whether time or money, that you're able to make a difference there. And it is important. And that's who we are. That's who we always were. Um, and continue to be that way. It's a very important part.
The company is called Camsan, and the visionary integrator, but not for long, combo is Tom Sanseverino. Tom, you've been working now with Rick for a while?
Yes.
More than 2 years, if I checked correctly.
Yep.
What has made you decide? What has made you stay beyond what is considered the 2-year time frame?
Well, I shouldn't say this because he's part of the family now, and his goodness to keep us going forward never stops. So it's that motion that I speak about is my job. He definitely keeps our company in motion and the rate of change to keep up our structure with what's happening. He knows how to get it out of us and stimulate our organization to pivot and launch and blow up any ceiling that may come ahead of us.
I have to say that I was listening in the background, and honestly, Tom, you make me want to be a better coach, because what I realize is, in listening to, in hearing from the other side, if you will, that it isn't just about a client and a coach transaction. It's a relationship. And when you become an extension of family, when you become a friend, it's a transcendence. I know you said that I asked you what kind of a leader you are, and you said you were a transformational leader. But it seems like the relationship with a coach can become truly, it can transform, it can become transformational too when when that magic happens, when you break through the ceiling again and again and again. So I really want to thank you for spending some time with me today, to being so honest, and to maybe letting other entrepreneurs know out there that they don't always have to work harder. They can actually work a little bit smarter, and have a little bit of fun along the way. So last word to you.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to talk today with you. I really enjoyed it. For everyone out there, I believe that if you haven't read Traction, it's definitely the one that you should grab and read through or listen to. Um, EOS or coaching may not be for you, but it's definitely living the EOS life on both personal or business is definitely something to consider to create the balance of your life. In any struggle, it makes you a better person, made me a better person, and it's great people. So thank you again. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the time today.
We're the ones who dare to dream. We won't let anyone hold us back. We'll take the road, let's travel by and build our empire piece by piece. We've got our dreams and we've got a plan. We're not afraid to take a stand. We'll face the risks and embrace the fear, cause we know that success is near. There will be times when we'll fall down, but we'll get up and turn it around. We're entrepreneurs, we're not afraid to lose. We'll keep moving forward, we got nothing to